you.
Thank you, Marion. The words you just ended with explain the whole drosha, and it's amazing how it's repeated over and over again that all we have to do is remember with every word we say, with every thought, with every deed, to walk in the ways we've been given. Now, this parasha is extraordinary because it's really examining, is there justice in the world? Is the world just a haphazard place where things just happen? And so let's just quickly look at this beautiful long song and poem of Moses. As I said, Moses starts very gently with the people, and you heard me read, let my teaching fall like rain and my words descend like dew. Now, this is only a gentle opening to the core message which Moses wants to convey. And this is an idea known as tziduk hadin. It's vindicating, it's proving God's justice. And the way Moses puts it is this, and you heard me read it. He is the rock, his words are perfect, and all his ways are just. A faithful God who does no wrong, upright and just is he. This doctrine is fundamental to Judaism. It is part of our being created in the image of God. We believe in original goodness. However, God is just, and now we get back, and this is the particular drosha. This is the particular part where the question that we've questioned before, and people will go on questioning, is if God is so good, why do bad things happen to good people? Why? Why do bad things happen at all? Is God corrupt? No. We were told in Moses' words that the defect is in his children, in us, in humanity, a crooked and perverse generation. Well, surely we are living in this pandemic as a result of a crooked and a perverse generation. Now, we can't only think that God is only for the Jews. We are part of a humanity. We are part, lesser or greater perhaps, not at all, of this crooked and perverse generation. But we also had our part by keeping quiet, by not doing things. Anyway, we are connected to all humanity. But what Moses is claiming and what great sages have been telling us, and I now refer to the great sages of our era, amongst them, as I've said before, is the great Rabbi Jonathan Sacks, Lord Sacks of blessed memory, is the great Rabbi Dick Hirsch of blessed memory. I'm referring to all these people who also have inspired me in addition to our ancient or older sages. God requites good with good, finished, and evil with evil. When bad things happen to us, it is not, it is because we, humanity, have been guilty of doing bad things. The fault, unlike what Shakespeare said, do you remember he said, the fault lies in the stars? It doesn't. It lies within ourselves. And this incredible teaching of Judaism, this is what Moses now is explaining. So as I said, when Moses moves in and becomes a prophet, he foresees that this is going to happen. And it's not only in Israel, the promised land, it's the whole world. The promised land is the whole world. And Israel and the Jews are supposed to be those who are walking the way and leading the way and hopefully giving small little examples, as I know each and every one of you are, of how to get out of this madness that we've created around us. So, you know, this is not a comfortable religion because it will not allow us to play the victim. Sorry. because we are part of all humanity. And if we recognize that, we can't say, oh, well, it's the person's fault in China who ate that. No, we've got to go back to the corruption, the greed, and I've said this too many times, and the abuse of wildlife, the corruption and greed that we see in countries around us. We must raise our voices, even if it's to each other, and even if it's to the people you meet. It'll all build an ocean of justice. Now, I did mention that Moses warns them that, like, with the word Yeshurun, you're going to grow fat and you're going to forget about God. And that's the first time this word is mentioned. And for anyone who joined late, it means upright. So the upright forget. We forget when everything's going well. When do we turn to God? When things are going bad. We must remember him when things are going well and guard our actions and our words, etc. So Moses is bringing the Torah to a close with a constant theme and heart of our Jewish religion, to take responsibility, not only for ourselves and our own actions and thoughts and deeds, but to encourage others to act like that as well, to see the goodness in others and to encourage that goodness, and not only always moan, lashon hora, and do the bad. But we've been hearing that for the whole year now, and I presume we're going to go on hearing it in a different way as we start the Jewish New Year. However, there's certain points that I thought was very important to discuss with you, because Judaism is unique in its view of God and justice and original innocence. We're very unique in this view. And if you don't take this view that God is just, and that whether we like it or not, humanity is one, and when the world stood by and allowed the destruction of the Jews in the Holocaust, God could not intervene because the age of miracles is over. He handed over the earth to us when we crossed into Israel. And he said, right, human beings, all of you, walk the path of justice and righteousness. Don't abuse nature, don't abuse the earth, don't abuse each other, and you'll live in prosperity. We, the world, haven't done this, and we're part of the world. We're not better or separate. We just have the teaching, so we should be teaching it louder, perhaps, and doing it for others. But there are three alternative views, and I'd like to share this with you before we conclude. The Greek philosophy, mainly Greek philosophy, saw everything as fixed. It's in the stars. Yeah, it's your fate. If you're born a king, good luck. If you're born a slave and you're born to suffer and die, well, that's it. Basically, it's the harsh theory of Darwinism, a Darwinism without Hashem in it. Today, we can have both. It's creation, an energy of creation, but with a goodness at the heart of it, an energy that is promoting everything for growth, a tree that grows towards light. So the Greek philosophers said, oh, well, can't help it. And just to quote it, they said, the Greek philosophy believed the strong do as they want and the weak must suffer because they're born weak. Too bad. That is just the struggle to survive, and there's no more justice. The only one that really survives is the strongest, not the Jewish way. The second way, and this I found as a revelation when I was preparing for this drosha, is a book that the Lord Jonathan Sachs wrote, and he called it Not in God's Name. And that is the idea that is very prevalent in many other religious streams of dualism, of a God and a devil, of a God and a Satan. We do not believe in that. We don't. And I thought this was quite amazing. You see, that evil comes from an opposing force to God, from Satan. You've heard this referred to as the devil, the Antichrist, Lucifer, the Prince of Darkness, and many other names. Please remember that we are a monotheistic religion. We only believe in one God, and our God is not the source of evil. We are when we break the laws, be it the laws of nature, be it the law of man, be it anything, and we're part of humanity. So this is the most dangerous concept in history, a dualism of God and Satan. Why? It divides humanity into what is absolutely good and what is absolutely bad, and has resulted in pain and death to humanity over the centuries. You can see this in the Spanish Inquisition, when they believed theirs was the only way and all other ways were bad. They killed thousands, not only Jews. The Holocaust didn't only kill Jews. They killed homosexuals, gays, handicapped people, gypsies. It's a madness to think that there's good and evil, and we must kill everything that doesn't agree with us. So I found that of enormous inspiration, is that, and we only have to look at the tragedy of extremism in every religion today, and particularly in ISIS and Islamic, where they're just killing other Muslims who don't agree with them. The third alternative, and on this I'm going to conclude, so you can believe that everything is fixed, there's nothing you can do with it. You can believe that there's good and evil, and there's this battle, and you can kill everyone who in your opinion is evil. Or the third thing that the Jews will not depend on is the world to come. Although we have an Olam Haba, that does not mean we can suffer and be miserable here and do nothing about it and wait later to enjoy everything. Yes, Olam Haba is mentioned in Judaism, but it's just mentioned. And it's very interesting is that it's hardly given much mention at all. Instead, emphasis is put on the fact that we've got to work here each in our own small way. Doesn't matter how you're doing it. Being part of the Shabbat service is your way. Leading a service, leading a nation, leading a family, being head of a business, how you speak to the beggar in the street. Of course, how we give as well to the beggars, but it's much more than that. So we've got to work for justice, fairness, compassion, and decency, the alleviation of poverty, and that all lies within the power that God has given us, because we his partners. After the miracles and the land of Israel became, and we and the rest of the diaspora, we are the only way that God can complete his work here through our believing, and I don't mean only Jews, I mean humanity, believing in justice and goodness. What you give, you receive. The cause and effect. Science and religion are one. God, for example, to prove our emphasis on this earth, does not say to Jeremiah or Job, when they are begging him and telling him how they're suffering, etc., and what can they do, that the answer lies, and they don't have to worry about suffering now, because the answer lies in heaven. And they will see it as soon as they end their stay on earth. Not at all. the passion of our Torah and Moses. And Moses didn't even think of his dying as he spoke to the people. All he wanted to tell them is, please understand, there are going to be mistakes. There are going to be tragedies. But there's always the word of Torah. There's always the way of righteousness. There's always the way that you and I can make a difference in the world. And if the majority of human beings thought that, the world then would indeed be a place where we could live and prosper in. So Moses' passion and the Jewish passion for justice is so characteristic of our religion that we can't choose any of the other answers. They don't make sense, because then there is no hope. And without hope and faith, there is no survival. Difficult though the Jewish religion is, it has the effect through history of leading us to say, if bad things have happened, let's blame ourselves as part of humanity. And let's correct it and help humanity correct it. And let us work very hard to make the world a better place. I believe this is what helped the Jews time and time again survive adversity, tragedy, and like Jacob, limping after his encounter with the angel, yet resolved to begin again, to rededicate ourselves to Torah, as we're doing with every one of the Shabbat, in a way in this Zoom that we never did before. How amazing is Hashem in the secrets and the beauties he has planted within every great adversity, and rededicate ourselves to our mission of thanking God for all our achievements and taking and blaming humanity and ourselves for our defeats and correcting them. This was Moses's, not only his story, it showed in his life. His greatest quality was humility. And that's the humility we can have when we thank God for all the good things that we have in our lives. And we work to correct our mistake in others. Shabbat Shalom. Back